and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danny Boy. The general election is just 29 days away. How ready are you for the all-important polls? Today on the program, no respite for CJN or Nogian as federal government asks Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit to freeze his accounts. EFCC outraged over fake news of Onogen's arrest as Saraki cautions against overheating the polity. And later on the show, Boko Haram attacks army base in Ron, steals weapons, 2 truckloads of rice. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Utitoju, Obolade Omonijo, and Dari Odufowoka. Gentlemen, thanks for coming to the program.
Pleasure to be here.
It is said that the higher the position a man attains, the mightier the fall of a person. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Walter Onogen, is facing the potential battle of his life and career. He will have to avoid a free fall from his Olympian height as the country's highest-ranking judicial officer over alleged false assets declaration. But the federal government is tightening the noose around Justice Onogen's neck to ensure that he faces justice. Government, through the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, has requested the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit to freeze 5 bank accounts of the CJN pending final determination of a case against him at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. In a letter addressed to the director of the agency, the Justice Minister said the request to restrict normal banking operations on the 5 accounts is in line with the Presidential Executive Order number 6 of 5th of July 2018. Are we in for another turbulence in the courts of law and public opinion? Judy, I'll start with you. Executive Order 6, because one wonders because the CJN is being tried for false declaration of assets, not corruption.
Yeah, but it's invariably linked to corruption, whichever way you look at it. The CGN should have disclosed that in the Code of Conduct Bureau forms that you feel they should have disclosed all he had. A form of those accounts, 5 different accounts, only 2 of them in Naira, the rest of them foreign currency. So it should have made full disclosure. So when you fail to make full disclosure, it then looks like corruption or an attempt to perpetrate corruption in the real sense of the word.
Really?
Yes, because why would you not disclose it as stipulated by the law? So this is the thing. There is no way you would not want to think that this is linked to corruption. When you also bear in mind the fact that corruption is very rife in the judiciary. We know that is very right. Even this CJN has talked about it repeatedly, that judiciary staff were fond of leaking judgments to litigants. So all forms of corruption, happen in the judiciary. And that's where you do not want to expect to see corruption thrive. You remember Justice Aniagolu said, judges are the closest to God. And for that reason, that they are the representatives of God on earth. And when they pronounce a judgment, you know that it can't be changed, especially if that judgment was made by a final court, by the Supreme Court. You cannot change it. So you have control over life. You have control over destinies. To that extent, you are expected to be above board. Nobody wants to see a situation in which the judiciary will be ill-reputed for corruption. That's why we are always worried when you start hearing stories that this judge took some money or the judge was involved in 419, as it happened in 2016. So we want the Temple of Justice to be known for its fidelity. and where you can't vouch for judges in our country, then we all should be worried because we'll be in trouble.
How much of a trouble is this, Dari, using the Executive Order 6 to, say on the premise of that we are freezing his account?
Well, Executive Order 6 didn't come into force today. It has a date, July 2018. And I recall that when it was promulgated, if I can use that word, it received a lot of accolades, with many of those who are likely to fault its application today, encouraging its use and saying it was long overdue. So I would simply say, since we have it in place, nothing should stop its use. That it is now being applied in the case of a highly placed individual should not belittle nor water down its usefulness. In the case of the CJN, it is just unfortunate. For me, this ongoing saga about Justice Onogen is something that shouldn't be happening in our country again. We have shown the world in the last 3.5 years that we are serious about ridding our polity of corruption. Now we have a test case, a real test case. You see, like I think it's the maestro who will say that he wants to see the day when EFCC or all these agents will really, bring to book very serious and highly placed persons. Now we have a test case on our hand. And I am saddened seeing a lot of people who should be on the side of the law suddenly choosing to pitch their tent on the side of sentiment. Two things are at war now. The law, as it should be, as it is, and sentiments. If we allow sentiment to win this war, our entire fight against corruption will be rubbished. What am I saying? There are simple questions to ask in this matter. Thank God it is now in the courts of law, and we have to be conscious, very cautious of what we say. However, it's being in the court of law does not change facts and figures. We should ask straight questions. These accounts, are they in existence?
They are.
Of course they are, from all the facts and figures we made together. Were they declared by the accused? Of course not. Did he own up to not disclosing them? Of course he did. If we answer, you see, I'm a Rotarian and we have the four-way test.
Yes.
In Rotary. I've been applying a four-way test to this issue since it broke. And I've been getting something very interesting. Realizing that, how useful the four-way test of Rotary is. If our answers to these questions are in the affirmative, why do we still find senior advocates of Nigeria, senior lawyers, people who should be custodians and protectors of the temple of justice, ignoring this simple? We are not saying it should be declared guilty before the process is completed. But we are saying, let us help this system. We are not helping this system if we try to beg the issues. Why I'm not comfortable is that we are begging the issues. If we get answers to this, then he says, oh, he forgot, according to what I read. He didn't tell me. He forgot to declare them. Then we will now say, okay, he is facing the courts to explain why he forgot. Then we won't be having all this uproar. To add to this is about the CJN himself. In other climes, by now, honorably, some steps will have been taken by the accused that will protect the integrity of the judiciary. I think this is not being done by the CJN and those supporting him, and it is worrisome.
All right, now let's bring in Mobolade in now. Some have said that this step being taken is not proper, freezing his account using the Executive Order number 6. That is not proper because he's not being tried for corruption, although Judy has said it's a semblance of corruption, that he just merely did not declare his assets.
Well, like Judy said, Why didn't he declare? That's the question we should ask ourselves. In any case, the executive order is being applied. They are taking that executive order to court before. The court of law had said that it is legitimate, it is not contrary to the constitution of the country. If they think it is inapplicable to the case at hand, of course, the court again will declare that. It's simple. The court will tell you that this is inapplicable, this is not a corruption matter, but as we see on the surface, as it were, you could say that if the Chief Justice of Nigeria conveniently forgot to declare what he ought to have declared, then there is a need for the institution over which he presides to look into the matter. I don't see why
them challenging this freezing of his account and all of that, seeing that they are raising a dust that this is not supposed to happen.
I believe they will challenge it.
The AGF is also just exceeding his powers. They
will challenge it. It is normal. Even if they know that it should not be challenged, it will be challenged. If you have an array of 90-something lawyers, challenging something, trying to protect what they think is theirs, they will challenge anything. Whatever comes their way. They want to overwhelm and overawe, and they will go all out. There's no doubt about that.
Going all out, Judy, what do you foresee? We are not, this is not a court of law, but looking at the way things are going, what do you foresee happening in the end?
I do not think the CCT will convict the CGN. It's clear that it's done something wrong. It's clear that the CGN has not set the right example, but I know he won't be convicted. No. I'm very confident that he won't be convicted. I've seen where clearly a case that ideally shouldn't have been referred to the CGN. The lawyer argued, to the NJC. The lawyer argued that, look, this offense was not committed in the discharge of his duties because it should be offenses or infractions committed in the exercise of their functions as judges that should be referred to the NJC. You understand?
Yes.
Now, it's just like a professional body meting out punishment to one of its members. There are times when you could actually do something that they won't refer to the professional body. You are handed over straight to the police. You get the dichotomy. Yes. Now, in this case, the lawyer argued that that judge that was brought before the CCT, the offense was not committed in the exercise of his duties as a judge. But the CCT still went ahead and discharged him. So I can see a judicial coup happening in the end. From even the Federal High Court in Abuja has extended the restraining order to January 28. I see them kicking the can down the road. And at the end of the day, if the CGN does not resign, they are going to encourage him not to resign. That no, don't resign. You know, in Nigeria, it's not our culture to resign. People don't willingly resign. Because if people willingly resign, someone like Kemi Adeosun will have resigned a long time ago. It is when the pressure gets to this point that they are now forced to quit. No, it's not our nature. We don't believe it's sensible to resign even when we can see clearly that we are drowning. So they will convince the CGN to not resign, that let the judiciary resolve this matter. And the judiciary, if you look at the pattern, all of those judges that they broke into their homes, they've all been released. Look at the case of even Justice Ademola. Justice Ademola, there was a petition against him that the NJC received very early in the year. They didn't act on it. Yes, they could argue that they get so many petitions and all that they are overwhelmed. They didn't act on the petition. Now, at the time when Ademola waited, Justice Ademola waited, he won his case. As soon as he won his case, he knew that trouble was looming. He quickly retired. And after he retired, the NJC said, no, he shouldn't retire. We were actually planning to kick him out. So, when you got the petition in the first quarter of the year, what did you do? You waited till almost the last quarter of the year for him to retire. He's not going to wait for you. to deal with him. So and that's the thing, and that's why many people are worried, because you complain about judges, you take it to the NJC, it takes them ages before they act. At the end of the day, these people get out of jail. So I do not see the CJN being convicted. The lawyers will rally around him. The solidarity amongst Nigerian lawyers is over this matter is overwhelming. It's only a few of them who are publicly saying what this man has done is wrong. Only very few.
Very few, actually. All right, quickly, let's move on to the next topic. The menace of fake news is becoming a tough nut to crack for concerned authorities in Nigeria and elsewhere. It is even more pathetic when the political elites become architects of fake news. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, thus the EFCC, is enraged over claims that it raided the Abuja home of Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onoge, and arrested him. Reacting to the rumors on social media, the EFCC says it will file a libel suit against former Aviation Minister Femi Fani-Kayode and spokesman of Afenifere, Yinka Odumaki, who raised the false alarm. Meanwhile, Senate President Bukola Saraki has cautioned politicians against overheating the polity as the general election approaches. Saraki, who made the call at the resumption of plenary on Wednesday, said it is important for political leaders to help reduce tension through moderate political conversations. Meanwhile, let us share the video where Odumaki raised the false alarm with you.
It has just come to our notice that men of the EFCC are currently at the gate of the CJN to effect his arrest, despite the fact that the matter in issue with the CJN is already in courts and the courts are on the matter. We cannot understand the desperation by this administration to heat up the polity by carrying out this reckless action. We call on President Muhammadu Buhari to call the FCC to order, to back off, in order to not for them not to create unnecessary crisis in the system by effecting the arrest of the CJN when the matter is in court. This amount to self-help, and it's not in the place of the government of Nigeria to be encouraging people to do self-help. They should ensure that they maintain the rule of law. Impunity is too much, and the president should see to it that this does not continue. This is the position of Southern and Middle Leaders Forum.
All right, let me quickly quote Femi Fani-Kayode's tweet. He said, quote, "Why have EFCC surrounded the home of CJN Onoge, and why are they seeking to arrest him? These people want Nigeria to burn. Buhari, call off your dogs before it is too late. This is democracy and not a Gestapo state. In the name of God, let this madness stop." I mean, this statement, this is a sensitive period, and one would expect that these people who are of some sort of, repute and, position in the society would know better than to make such a statement. But then, coming from them, it's really sad, Dari.
It's quite sad. At the time when we were all clamoring for an end to fake news, let's even not be too concerned about the time we are in. At any time in the life of a nation, fake news is dangerous. In America and other developed countries, constant seminars and lectures are on about curbing the fake news, even in developed nations. And in our own country here, we are in an election year, 6 weeks, 5 weeks to our general elections. And people with enough, people we can call political elites, spreading fake news. So, nonchalantly, because in this manner, in this particular matter, it's outrightly turned out to be untrue. And that's lying. You see, you go on social media or on air to lie about something that didn't happen with the intention of making others believe it is happening. You are inciting the society. You are inciting people to... Odumaki is a respected senior colleague and somebody some of us in the past looked up to. One would not have expected that he would do this. He has to the best of my knowledge, some trainings to tell him that you are not to report what you are yet to confirm. And he is positioned by virtue of his activities and position held presently and in the past to pick up his phone and cross-check the information he got concerning the raid on the house of the CJN. If he didn't do that, he also has the option of keeping quiet. To open your mouth and tell the world the house of the CJN is being raided is to tell those who are in support of him to recourse to self-help, the same thing he is preaching against. He's inciting people. And if others had gone ahead to say, oh, they are raiding the CJN's house, there is something else we can also do violently, we won't be sitting down here discussing a peaceful resolution of that matter. I want to appeal to people like him. Fani Kayode, this won't be his first time. In barely 2 weeks ago, he came out to say the national leader of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, slumped and is now currently unconscious in an hospital. Right. An hour or so later, we saw the leader in good health, attending to, and I think he apologized then too, and currently now he has apologized.
How many times will you apologize?
Oh, I'm worried. I don't think it's good enough.
It's really sad, Mobolade, really, how these things would come from such persons. Really.
Well, I think it's about decency and responsibility, and I think some people are overrated, really. I can't make a distinction. He's making a distinction between Odumake and Fani Kayode. I don't see the difference. Maybe in ages past, Odumake was known for something else. Maybe. But not in the past 3, 4, 5, 6 years. No, we say the descent over the years. It's been descending in terms of what he represents. I can't see the values attached to him again. That's the truth. Because you will expect, like Dare said, you will expect that such a person is not the spokesman, to the best of my knowledge, for the CJN. He's not the spokesman for the Supreme Court. He's not the spokesman for the NJC. So I would have expected that at least we even want to hear from them and take a cue from those who are paid officially to dispense such news. People who should be the ones to raise the alarm and say what is happening. They didn't say anything, and you rushed into saying something. At least you even said FFK has been known to be a serial. Do you use the word apologizer now? If there's such a thing, apologist. If there is, but at least Odumake does not even have the decency to come up and say sorry for what I've done. It's a shame that we have such people who will keep doing the wrong thing, and they will continue. Like he said, this time, and you mentioned it too, these are very sensitive times. Even the issue about whether he's taken to CCT or not for something he confessed to doing, raised some eyebrows in the South, and they say it's our son, no, because it's our son, whatever he might have done, don't touch him. Now, if people could do that, what will you now say if you now say, okay, they've laid siege to the house of the CJN and that the man is under some form of attack, if you like, psychological or whatever. What do you think that will elicit over there? Some people call themselves militants who are already threatening fire and brimstone over there. So I think at a time like this, the public should also become a little more discerning to know those they can listen to. As a person, there are people that when they say it, I think that what they did not say must be the truth, and that whatever they say must be the untruth or the falsehood.
Let's get Jide's view on this matter.
Well, I think for some time now, Fani Kayode has been waging a one-man war against rationality. For Nigerians who believe in the esoterica, his Twitter handle is the place to go. But he's a serial liar and ignorance peddler. So those who truly want to hear the truth, it is not Fani Kayode's Twitter page that you go to, if you are really the serious type. But if you get excited by barefaced lies. You get excited by ignorance peddling, rumor mongering. Then that is the place for you to go. So if he apologizes, at the end of the day, what does his apology amount to? Because he has lost the moral right to be taken seriously. He's lost it. He has continued his descent from 2015, and he now looks like a free fall. He's now engaged in a free fall. I don't think that serious Nigerians take Femi Fani-Kayode seriously anymore. Whatever he says, they will just dismiss it. People can come up with the idea that the president is someone cloned. It's one Sudanese who was cloned. I mean,
2018.
all it takes is even to read. The internet has afforded us the opportunity to learn things that we were not taught in school. Because all you need to do is just go to Google and you see works that other people have put there so that you and I can learn more. Why not even go and read up how people can be cloned, how animals can be cloned? Our world has not reached that stage that human beings will be cloned. It was Dolly the sheep, you know, that was cloned many years ago in the 90s, you know. But the world has not moved to the point of cloning individuals. But here in my country, in the 21st century, some funny characters have tried to make us believe that the president was cloned. And you find some people believing it. Some will send messages to me on Messenger. Jide, don't you think this man was truly cloned? And I will ask myself, what's going on?
So look at the nose. Can't you see the difference?
No, even his hair. People, they don't know him as much as his wife knows him. They don't share the same bed with him. And they want to analyze the physical features of the man. They want to convince the world about the physiology of Buhari that they do not know. So this is what Fani-Kayode has championed for so long. Go to his Twitter page, you see tweets about Jubril, this and that. Absolute rubbish. Yeah, so, and then you say, look at even the response of the CJN. Yes. The CJN spokesman said, look, that he was surprised that media houses, they sent television cameras and all that, just responding to a wild goose chase. Even the apology by Fani-Kayode, he still said that he apologized that the EFCC did not, but they should find out those who were there. Not that was suggested that there was something. You know what amused me when he said usually reliable sources? I said, you are a serial liar. You are a serial rumor monger. You are a serial ignorance peddler. You have told him the truth after he had. You are talking about usually reliable.
No, the same source.
How many things has Fani-Kayode put on his Twitter handle that turned out to be true? And you are talking about usually. Does he know the meaning of usually reliable?
He didn't get him. He even said the same source that I told him it is not true. The reliable source.
I mean, you see, sometimes we shouldn't. It's just inevitable that in our country, because you know, sometimes before we come here, people will say, "Why don't you discuss this?" Yeah. You also need feedback from the viewer. I mean, ordinarily we shouldn't bother ourselves talking about Odumake and Femi. Because there's nothing they do that will come to me as a surprise.
These are people that are putting the social media to the worst of uses.
All right, quickly, let's go on this short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Just stay with us. You're still watching Journalists Hangout, and the discussion that we started before the break continues right now. Well, let's go to Bukola Saraki cautioning politicians against overheating the polity. As the general election approaches, he made the call at the resumption of plenary. You know, like we had, rightly established, this is a sensitive period. Politicians come out, say different things, but then can we really, stop them from you know, overheating the polity with their statements? Because we've been hearing different things, Dari. We've been hearing all sorts.
You see, I want to appreciate the Senate President for once. If he sat on that same chair from where he has unleashed so much heating of the polity on us in the last 2.5 years, and he's now saying, please don't heat up the polity. Good of him. However, he's talking to his colleagues, and in extension, he's talking to himself. The appeal goes back to politicians and their supporters. At this time, we don't need scenarios that will create more tension. We should find a way of dousing the tension, not, adding to it. I've seen, I saw a rally somewhere in Kwara. It was, in fact, it was a house-to-house, they call it house-to-house campaign, door-to-door campaign by PDP. And the kind of utterances would create tension any day. We were mentioning names and calling them names, you know, calling people names, talking about people's background in songs and chants that could make anybody. We must not forget that these politicians.
Both parties are.
I'm coming to that, sir. These politicians too have relatives who are not politicians. If I am going on the road and you pick my father's name because my brother is running for an election and you are telling the story of how my grandfather was an armed robber, I can be moved to violence. See, yesterday I saw APC rally too, where somebody, a national chairman, was leading a chant of somebody ole, somebody thief. This is not good for the situation. Both parties, especially the two leading political parties, should desist from heating up the public. We should desist from encouraging our supporters or their supporters to go violent. Yeah. Because violence is not by act alone. Verbal violence can lead to physical violence if not checked. And it is becoming rampant. At a time when our campaign should be issues-based, we are turning it to a medley of abuses.
I'm coming to issues-based campaigns, but then we have Yakub on the line calling from Lagos. Go ahead, Yakub, with your contribution.
Thank you, Veronica.
Yeah.
Good evening, Babajide and the rest of the team in the studio.
Good evening.
Babajide, please, I want to know something here. Because it seems to me that there is a law for ordinary citizens of this country, and then there's another law for some elite, quote and unquote. Why am I saying that? I didn't think that ordinary citizen of this country was the one that did what Odumachi did yesterday or day before yesterday. I think by now, police will have gone after that very particular person. I want to know, why is it that police there did not do their job? Because if SFK can come out now and say that it's apology, I think that statement have already caused mayhem. Some people have been killing themselves. Does it mean that apology is relevant? I think it's no. What I'm saying is this. In the first place, Odumaki as a person, I'm a Yoruba person. How come Odumaki becomes the spokesperson of
Yakub, thank you for your contribution, Yakub. Thanve you so much.
They've invited them.
Yes, the EFCC has invited them.
And they have said that if they do not have concrete response to the questions that they are going to ask them, that they are going to hold them for a long time. And it's possible that even the police too, they have plans to pick them up. So let's not preempt what these guys will do.
All right, Mopalade, quickly, stemming from what Dari said, issues-based campaigns. Have we gotten to that level where our campaigns are focused on issues and not throwing jibes and, you know, calling names?
Unfortunately, talking about calling names, I don't know whether our leaders are good students of history. If they are, they will look back at 1964, 65, 66, and they will know what happened then after the federal election of 64, the 1965 parliamentary election in the Southwest, and leading up to the coup and the counter-coup and the pogrom and all that. I mean, nobody wants to go back to that. And it was things like this that caused all those things. I don't know whether they are good students of history. In 1982-83, you know, as we're approaching the election, the kind of thing you had, especially in the Southwest, and you had people saying all sorts of things there with their mouths and the kind of mayhem that it caused. We don't want to go there. Failed states, it is the words of mouth that acted more than the fire that were ignited. I think people should be a little more careful. Issues are what we need. We need to know what you can do. We need to know what you want to do differently. We need to know how you think or why you think you are best positioned to handle some of these things. And they're not doing much of that. Unfortunately, both parties, we have not seen much of that. Education in Nigeria, we know the state of education in this country. Right. We want to see what you can do to put things right. We have somebody who is a presidential candidate who was Minister of Education. She should also tell us what we can do this time around that will be different from what she did before. Right. We need to know those who have been in government in the past 4 years, what they have done with regards to education, with regard to health, and all that. Okay. These are things that we need to know as a people.
Jide, quickly before we move on to the next topic, can we really checkmate the activities of politicians, and also how do we deal with fake news?
Well, fake news, we have enough laws to handle that. As for politicians behaving badly by climbing the soapbox and saying around nonsense rather than focusing on issues, I think largely is because most of them do not really have anything to offer. Because if you have done so much, you should be able to come and tell the people what you've done. Or if you have not just simply tearing down the opponent. Yes. Tell the people what you've done. Tell the people what you plan to do.
Exactly.
Not simply to be abusing people and singing nonsensical songs. I mean, we should have gone beyond that level. Where someone who should set the right example will mount the soapbox and be singing songs that are capable of provoking violence. I mean, it just shows that our politicians are not prepared to grow. They are still stuck in their ways, stuck in their irresponsible ways. They should be in an election year, as Bukola said, although I'm not sure he too does that frequently. Exactly. As Bukola said, the election should be a contest of ideas. You know, it should be a contest of ideas. What have we got to offer? I think I'm better than you, and I need to show people that I'm better than you by my program for the people, not simply to wind people up and rouse our people to violence. People are hungry. You push them to violence. It's an assault on the sensibilities of our people.
All right, now let's quickly move on. The energy-sapping war against insurgency in Nigeria's northeast continues to take its toll on military and civilian population. The Boko Haram insurgents, supposedly degraded, launched another attack on the army base in Ran, Borno State. During the attack, it was reported that the terrorists razed many parts of the town, stole army weapons, 2 trucks and trailer loads of rice. Is this not becoming an attack too many, Jide?
Well, I'm really worried that a war that we deceive ourselves that we have won, Boko Haram will keep going to the same place with a frequency that is alarming. Remember this same run was where the Boko Haram went, killed soldiers, and kidnapped aid workers.
Yes.
Kidnapped the aid workers and went on to kill one of them. That was sometime last year. They killed, remember, in the attack, they killed one of the doctors who was taking care of people. Yes. There are at least 35,000 IDPs in Ran alone. The place had been bubbling. But Boko Haram does not want people to settle in that place. There are places in northern Borno and parts of central Borno and even southern Borno where Boko Haram thinks that they do not want to see soldiers.
Perhaps because it's a border town where they can easily carry out. Yeah.
Yes, you know, they have cells inside Cameroon. They have cells in N'Djamena. They have cells in Niger Republic. Now there are some strategic routes That's why places like Gudumbali in Guzamala local government, whether we like it or not, they will keep going there because along that corridor, they want to be able to funnel weapons, funnel supplies of even food and all that. So as long as you keep troops on ground there, those troops will come under consistent attack. And that's what happened in Iran. When they got there, they fought the troops. The Air Force could not respond immediately because of bad weather. You know, I said some time ago that at this time, during the dry season, is the best time for the army because they can use their heavy trucks, they can move freely with their gun trucks, with even the armored tanks. The ground is solid. But during the wet season, they are usually stuck. But for the Air Force, it's a different kettle of fish because at this time of the year, the weather is usually hazy, you know, a storm and all that. So they won't be able to move as frequently as they want to. So they couldn't respond quickly. And Boko Haram eventually overwhelmed the troops. So after overwhelming the troops, they went into town, were setting ablaze schools, setting ablaze hospitals, even the pharmacy of the Medicine Sans Frontiers, you know. But by the following day, our troops took control after reinforcement from Ngala and other places. But it's a consistent strategy. Once they've done the damage, they will leave. So when you hear stories that we've retaken the community, they've left. They've looted 2 trucks loaded with rice. Food meant for IDPs, they've carted away. They've stolen the weapons of the army. At that time, they will now feel, okay, what's left? Let us leave. And then we'll now read in the papers that, oh, the army retook the town the following day. After the birds had flown. I mean, so, and we are saying the strategy to adopt is to go and hit these people wherever they are, not to wait for them to come and attack us. If we can't do that consistently, honestly, I don't know how we can win this war.
All right, Mubala, they have stolen army weapons and 2 trucks. And here the same army have been complaining of not having enough weapons to, you know, fight this insurgents. How much damage is this, you know, consistent to the fight?
It's a very serious problem. And going after them is even a problem because, like he said, some of them are in neighboring countries and they are strong in those places and they could move in from time to time. No, they wouldn't stay because they don't also even have the capacity to hold the towns. They came in to steal and to move away.
They don't have enough troops.
They don't have enough troops to hold those places. No, but for as long as they have done it and the birds flow, then they have been energized, they have been strengthened, and then they go and perfect their strategies to come back again. Or I think the multinational force also, we have to find a way of strengthening the multinational force, not only in Nigeria, because it was a very good strategy that all the countries around should be able to put us together. And it appeared to be working very well at a point in Cameroon, Niger Republic.
But these same countries have, you know, the issues that they are dealing with in the various countries.
We also have issues that we are dealing with.
Same as Boko Haram. Do you think that they will come together, they'll be able to come together to successfully?
It's also in their own interest, not only in our interest. But the problem is whether they have the capacity. And that's what has been demonstrated. When General Buhari first came in as president of Nigeria, one of the very first things he did was to pay our contribution to the multinational force. But it's
visited them.
It's not been working that much. Now, the defense minister went there recently. He moved around, but it doesn't appear to be working. They have very effective cells in those places, and they move in. Even if you decimate them here now and they build up again, they come again. It's a major problem, but the way they do it is demoralizing to both the troops and to our people. And the international community, I understand that because of the ease with which they operate, the United Nations is also thinking of withdrawing some of their aid workers and all that.
No, their lives are in danger.
Their lives are in danger. It's a serious problem. He just said now, the message of Sans Frontiers, no, it was attacked and they went in there and picked. What would be the state of the psychological makeup of the workers there? from now.
Those who are trying to help.
Who are just trying to help. Endangered. So it is a problem. I think, like the Chief of Army Staff said some time ago, there is need for them to regularly look at the strategies. And I think also the starting point is that these men have been there for quite a while. Even if it's just for the halo effect, what they call the placebo. Let people see that there have been some changes, even at the level of the chiefs of staffs. Let's see.
Well, we've been coming for the change over time.
Nothing has been coming.
Nothing has happened.
That won't happen.
Nothing has happened.
That won't happen.
What, Dari?
Well, the truth of the matter is, for me, I am just not comfortable with the way we are waging this war. At the risk of being accused of demoralizing the troops, I want to say, I find it worrisome that a troop cannot hold a town under our control. It has become incessant. The best, in fact, the most believable stories I hear over this war are the ones I hear from Babajide Yotitoju. I'm telling you. They are the ones I hear from him, because he will put it on the table for you. What the army is telling us about this. Tomorrow we are going to read, or we are already reading about what happened in Iran, and they offer some military explanation that I find unbelievable. That the Air Force could not respond.
So they retreated tactically.
We retreated tactically and lost ammunition, lost men, lost food. Is it because the Air Force couldn't respond now? The Boko Haram, I'm sure they are not using Air Force. So their ground troop overran our own ground troop.
See, as I always explain.
Yes, please do. Explain
again. Before they go, they do due diligence before attacking a military base. You know, the Chief of Army Staff said Boko Haram men now use drones. I met an officer in
Can you just quickly hold the thought? If we have Joseph on the line calling from Lagos, Joseph, quickly make your contribution.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Pastor Joseph. I'm calling from Lagos. I want to talk on this Boko Haram issue and the fake news. This Boko Haram, I don't know the strength of this Boko Haram. I don't know if this Boko Haram have become stronger than our army. Because I believe if the government really want to destroy these people, it will not take them 2 months. Send our troops to that Sambisa forest, bombard them and finish them there.
It's easier to say.
They will be destroyed.
Yes.
Then, coming to that fake news, Bible says something. If you are telling somebody don't steal, make sure you don't steal.
Joseph? All right, Joseph is gone. Judy, you were telling us.
Well, I said a soldier told me in Maiduguri that Boko Haram, on one particular day, in a town called Cross Kawa, not far away from Baga, that they sent 2 drones to the army base there. They were looking at those drones. He said one was red, the other one was white. And they were like, what is the meaning of this? So the Chief of Army Staff has confirmed that the enemy has drones. With the drones, they can take a picture of the army base and know how many troops we have on ground. They can actually project how many troops we have on ground, minus maybe those who will be inside their tents. After that, they will now come with what the army calls high-volume violence. They will come with troops, with fighters far more than the troops that we have on ground, carrying the same weapons that we are carrying, or even some weapons that are superior, because they like to use the mortar launch grenades, which is bad news for any army, because once they fire the grenade at a tent, all the soldiers in the tent will die. That was what they used in Metele, and in Zari, which they attacked on August 30. So they do due diligence. They don't just attack a military base. Sometimes, too, they do it, and once the soldiers see that they've been thoroughly outnumbered, they are not fools. That is when you see that they retreat. Because then ask for reinforcement. If the reinforcement doesn't come on time, they will lose the they will lose the base and then wait to fight another day.
Something
that is what is happening.
Wanting to ask. The number of soldiers we have, is it sufficient?
It's not.
No,
With what we are seeing with these Boko Haram,
let me tell you, there are places that we have recaptured up to 3 times.
And we lose
because
again.
we do not have sufficient troops to hold the ground. You cannot protect every community in Borno State alone. Borno State is very large. One local government in Borno State, Magumeri local government, is bigger than the biggest state in the southeast. One local government, Magumeri, and that Sambisa that is in Borno State, you know, it stretches across 7 states. Sambisa is 6.5% of Nigeria, the entire Nigerian land space. So how many troops do you want to put there? I said it before, and I heard the Chief of Army Staff also repeated the same thing that I said before on this program, that if you put all the Nigerian troops inside Sambisa, you will not be able to defend the whole of Sambisa because it's too large.
I think it's better for the army to go strategic. They should use more of strategy and then change the tactics being used that is not giving us results.
The tactics, in my view, the tactics are dependent on the caliber of weapons that we have. If you say you want to go on the offensive, then get the right weapons. For example, you cannot launch a rapid attack on the enemy if you don't have enough MRAP. The MRAP protects the enemy against IEDs and because Boko Haram uses them a lot just to slow down the troops. So with the MRAP, once you are inside it, it has thick armor. Once you are inside it, it's only the tire that you lose in the event of stepping on IEDs or mines. Jonathan bought them just before the election, and it helped us. It's still those MRAP that he bought that we are using. And I am suggesting to the president, because he announced that he was going to release money for emergency procurement of weapons, that he needs to buy enough MRAP. Once we have enough MRAP and he buys enough tanks, the soldiers will feel confident.
To go,
you know that you are moving your MRAP, you are secure. So they will be able to overwhelm the enemy.
We've been saying a lot about these.
Nothing is being done.
For a while.
We've been talking
$1
about
million was approved. It was not released.
What did we buy with that?
No, they said it's not been released.
It has not been released.
It's not been released.
They released money for the Air Force, but they had not released that
for the army.
Why?
Does that show readiness to deal with this?
We are saying we are serious about ending this war. I think the government should do more than what
bureaucrats
they are saying.
And bureaucrats and politicians.
When we are at war, we should do away with bureaucracy.
And it's not about...
We need to buy weapons, take money, buy weapons.
And the Chief of Army Staff can go and take money directly from the...
But we have had state of emergencies in issues that are not even serious. Let's have a state of emergency on this war, empowering those involved to act with more speed. So that we can save more lives. We are sending young men who just got married, who just left school.
The president himself also talking about weapons yesterday.
Yes.
You heard him.
Let him buy weapons.
When I talk about weapons here, that we really need it, people think that, oh, Jide is just talking rubbish. What the president was talking about it yesterday.
The few things I believe come from you.
No, if you talk to the troops, they will tell you their problems.
Yeah, so what I've had, they should buy weapons.
On the war against Boko Haram, I think we should get serious, or more serious rather. We should get more serious.
Embarrassing.
Send more men there, buy more, procure more weapons, and again, invest so much on intelligence gathering. If Boko Haram could do so much surveillance and all that, then why can't we do even much more?
Bringing drones.
All right, gentlemen, that's the much we can take on
take the war to their doorsteps.
Yeah.
But that's what they are doing to us.
Serious weapons. You can't just send young men to go and die.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, gentlemen. But that's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Veronica Danik Boy. Bye for now. God bless.